Hey, my handsome ladies and gentlemen, this is Shmeaty. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome if you're new. I originally anticipated SPINDA to be a little bit of a gag Pokemon, another one of those Shmeaty runs bad Pokemon videos, but it actually surprised me in the little Jungie Cup here, as its access to Sucker Punch, Rock Tomb, and Icy Wind proved to actually be some pretty valuable coverage into a lot of the things that I was seeing. Now, that might just be a me thing, as I am playing at a lower elo than I'm used to at this point in the season, but I am going to be pairing off the SPINDA with a Togekiss and a Cradily. Unfortunately, this team is heavily ABA to Scizor, so if you want a better lead that isn't so weak to Scizor, you may want to ideally run an Altaria, but in game number 1, we are going to safe switch into the SPINDA. SPINDA lands an Icy Wind onto the Altaria, and Altaria is going to, unfortunately for them, no shield it and take quite a bit of damage. Sky Attack lands, but it's debuffed, so Spinda's going to be able to hold, and now they're going to be able to fire off a second Sky Attack, but Spinda can go for the farm down, leave with energy to debuff whatever it is they decide to bring in, and then look to pivot out. They are going to bring in a Cradily, and I'm pretty happy with this, as I can just go for the Icy Wind. Icy Wind will connect onto the Cradily. Now I'm looking to make Icy Wind number 2. Now, Icy Wind number 2 is going to be able to either force a shield or do substantial damage onto the Cradily. Cradily not looking to no-shield that one, so we are going to pivot into our own Cradily, getting the zero-turn switch in. Our Acid sneaks through. They're going to be able to land a Rock Tomb onto our Cradily, but that does pitiful damage onto us. And now it seems as if they're in a pretty tough spot. At -2, not able to really effectively switch out here. They get our Cradily -2, but from this range, we have nearly 100 energy, and a Cradily that is going to likely get their Cradily into range. They do have a Charizard in the back, and of course, there's only one move that we have to throw at the Charizard. We fire off the Rock Tomb. They still have some shields in play, though, so they put up their final shield, and now we're just going to bring in our Togekiss. This could get a little dicey here, as if they land a Blast Burn onto our Togekiss, we're going to be in a bad spot. We are going to see the Charizard builds up quite a lot of energy. I'm going to no-shield the first. They go for the Blast Burn. Blast Burn nearly KOs the Togekiss, and they are at yet another move here. But this doesn't really matter, because the rest of the team is so low that Spinda can come in, get the Sucker Punch farm down onto the Cradily, and if the Charizard decided to come back in, that as well. GG's. Getting into the next game, it's going to be Togekiss leading into a Shadow Gyarados. I forgot this Pokemon was eligible, and I definitely have to run it now. But before that, they are going to be able to fire off an Aqua Tail as soon as they get it. So Aqua Tail is going to do about 50% to the Togekiss. Not the best feeling ever, but we can comfortably no-shield it, and they go from doing double resisted fast move pressure to doing double resisted fast move pressure with the Crustle this time. And now we're just going to build up to the Aura Sphere and be able to land it before they're able to make any meaningful damage, as they're going to make, of course, that X-Scissor before they make a potential Rock Wrecker. They don't want to completely let their Crustle go there, so they are going to just hold on to their energy, put up a shield, go for the Rock Wrecker onto the Spinda. Spinda looking for the farm down, but the Crustle unfortunately able to make a last-second X-Scissor here, which is going to be a little bit problematic for our Spinda. We are going to see the Gyarados get pivoted back in, but now we have a Rock Tomb loaded with this Gyarados' name on it. The Gyarados decides to put up a shield, and now we get farmed down, but we are going to be able to bring in either of our other two back Pokemon, as this Gyarados is now debuffed and not going to be able to do a significant amount of damage onto the Cradily. We are going to bring in the Togekiss here, basically forcing the Gyarados' hand to throw energy at our Togekiss. We are still in range of a move, despite them being -1. They're going to be able to fire off a move at my Cradily, but I feel as if this damage, now that it's debuffed, is going to do less overall than what they could potentially have in the back. So I am going to fire off a Rock Tomb to get rid of the Gyarados, as I know they are just about to make another Aqua Tail there. In the back, they have a Golisopod. They failed to catch. The game didn't show it very well, but they failed to catch, and they realize the game's over. GG's. On to the next match, and it's Togekiss picking up a really nice lead into a Furret. The Furret's going to stay in here. I would imagine they're going to look to try to catch an Aura Sphere here, so I wait after throwing 6 pecks, and they do attempt to catch, bringing in an Altaria. Altaria is now going to be met with a Dazzling Gleam, as we did not throw an Aura Sphere at them, and the Dazzling Gleam connects for big damage. We're going to get such an amazing catch that it actually messes with the camera angle a little bit. we are able to catch that Sky Attack, and Spinda should be able to get this farm down just in time. They died with the Sky Attack, and now they're going to bring back in that Furret. I do believe Spinda should be able to hold on to a Swift here, just barely able to hold on. We make the Rock Tomb. Rock Tomb in these neutral situations is going to do more damage than the Icy Wind. Icy Wind is base 65 damage, Rock Tomb is base 80 damage. So definitely going to do a little bit more damage there. They do have a Shadow Charizard in the back, and this is not the Pokemon I want to see right now. They are going to be able to grab my shield with an Air Cutter, as I need this energy from my Togekiss in order to start to threaten the Gyarados, or excuse me, not the Gyarados, the Charizard even potentially. They are going to put up a shield on the first Aura Sphere number 2, locked and loaded. We are going to fire it off, grabbing both shields from the Charizard. They went from 2 shields to 0 very, very fast, and now I have a decision to make here. They are 1 stage boosted here. I am going to have to make a call. I know shield. It's the Blast Burn, and unfortunately for me, that instantly loses me the game. The Blast Burn connecting onto my Cradily. I'm going to put up a shield, but there's little that shield is going to be able to do. They attempt to catch an Aura Wheel onto their Furret, but regardless, they just have too much fast move pressure for my low health Togekiss to be able to combat from. So GG's to that trainer. Get into the next game. Togekiss leads into a Thievul, another one of those leads where if they stay in, definitely a little sus, and I gotta watch for a catch, but they do no such thing. So they immediately pivot out into the Corviknight, which I'm just going to take that opportunity to bank an Aura Sphere for later, knowing that it's going to be impactful later on in the game, and then pivot out into my own Spinda. Spinda going to shield up an Air Cutter, which could have potentially been enough for a payback at that point, so I'm more than happy to put up a shield, as now if they do send the payback, it is going to be -1. Speaking of sending the payback, they have high incentive to throw it now, as they have not been debuffed yet, and they played into the losing CMP tie. So we are able to get that Icy Wind off, and now we're in a pretty nice spot, as the Spinda is going to be able to get a second debuff off onto the Corviknight, and now I'm pivoting back into the Togekiss. This is an aggressive play. I want this Peck down so I can have energy for whatever they have in the back, because Togekiss up this much energy is going to be able to put up a pretty substantial fight into whatever it is they want to bring in. And they bring back in the Thievul. Thievul is not even going to be able to make a Night Slash before we were able to fire off 2 Aura Spheres at them. We look to overfarm just to keep energy to see if they want to pivot out, as this is not a matchup that Thievul is favored in whatsoever. So I'm surprised that they stayed in and played it out this long. They must be heavily weak to the Togekiss if this is what they're doing. They're going for a second Night Slash here. I'm more than happy to shield that one up. And now we're going to go for a third Aura Sphere, waiting the turn, making sure that the Thievul's still on the screen. Aura Sphere connects, big damage onto the Thievul, and in the back they've got Clodsire, but we have not revealed the second move, so they may think that we have potentially Psyshock, and they didn't want to switch in the Clodsire down so much energy, which is definitely an intelligent play, but now we're in a bit of a difficult position. This Clodsire is their last Pokemon, however, so we did force them to throw energy on our Spinda, which allows our Cradily to make a Rock Tomb before they're able to fire off an Earthquake. Now, firing off the Rock Tomb there seems a little bit questionable, but this Clodsire has been chipped, and we're going to be able to make a second Rock Tomb, which means that this next Earthquake will not be enough damage to KO the Cradily. So now we fire off Rock Tomb number 2, and this is getting a little bit painful for the Clodsire, as no move that they can throw is going to be able to KO at -2. They go for the Stone Edge, and now we're just going to fire off the Grass Knot as soon as we get it. We just want damage onto the Clodsire at this point in time. And from this range, we should be able to either switch into the Togekiss and apparently catch a move, or this is actually a little bit worse for us, because if they're 4 away, they would make the move, but 4 Acids will pick up the KO onto the Clodsire, and we Acid down a Clodsire. GG's. Alright, this game is absolutely hilarious. Togekiss leading into Degen, terrible lead. We are going to safe switch into our Spinda, which is kind of our only answer, and they bring in a Talonflame. I'm going for the Rock Tomb immediately, and my opponent may not know the Spinda moveset, as Rock Tomb gets the full one-shot onto the Talonflame. What just happened? Okay, they now bring in the Toedscruel, and if they're not familiar with Spinda's moveset, well, maybe they're not familiar with Icy Wind either. I go for the Icy Wind immediately as well, and Toedscruel is going to no-shield, and Spinda has done massive damage to the opponent's team, taking out nearly 2 Pokemon on its own. I don't know if this is just like a I've never seen a Spinda on my screen moment before, or what this is, but Degen comes back in, looking too far off that problematic charge, but not going to be too much of a problem as Cradily hits the field, and that's an instant top left. GG's. Get into the next game. It is going to be Togekiss leading into a Unova Stunfisk. Now this is a very bad Pokemon for me to see on the lead or in general, so I decide to switch into my Spinda, which is my only answer. They are going to fire off a move. This Unova Stunfisk does not seem too intent on switching out, however. They go for the Mud Bomb. The Mud Bomb is not going to do nearly enough damage to prompt the shield from our good friend Spinda here. Spinda going to go for the Icy Wind. I assume this opponent didn't know that that move existed either, so they are going to now bring in the Abomasnow. Abomasnow looking to pick up a knockout with the Weather Ball, which only takes 5 Powder Snows to get to, but Spinda able to make a last-second Icy Wind here. I really wish this is a Rock Tomb so I can potentially force a shield from them, but it's just going to be the Icy Wind, and so they are going to no-shield it. But now they're going to be able to make another Weather Ball here. I get the one-turn bring-in. It's annoying to see that that does still happen, but at the end of the day, I realize it's not going to impact this particular match very much. Now I wait to see what my opponent brings in. It's a Talonflame, so I'm not going to throw my energy. And now I'm bringing in my Cradily into their Talonflame. They do have 3 Incinerates worth of energy here, so they are loaded and have a bunch of energy they could throw at my Cradily. Not the best situation for me, but I'm going to be more than happy to put up a shield here because I know that I'm going to get another debuff move off here in just a second. To my surprise, the Talonflame fires off the Brave Bird, and I undertapped the Grass Knot, anticipating that my opponent was going to try to snipe with the energy loaded on the Stunfisk, but they didn't do that, so I throw 1 Acid, then pivot into the Togekiss with no shields remaining on this Talonflame. The triple debuff defense that they got from yeeting that Brave Bird at my Cradily is going to come back to haunt them, and now they are going to be able to Thundershock farm down my Togekiss, but what I can do is no-shield a Mud Bomb, and we are going to be able to reach the Grass Knot. Grass Knot onto the Stunfisk will deliver a knockout, and that is a GG. Very close. Getting into the next one. Is that a JoJo reference? Togekiss leads into an Altaria. Altaria, pretty decent lead for the Togekiss as we are able to no-shield any charge move that they decide to throw, and on top of that, we're going to be able to threaten with a Dazzling Gleam. As well, we can peck this Altaria into Dazzling Gleam range at any time we want, so they go for the Sky Attack, and now we just need to overfarm to make sure that this Altaria is in a range where the Dazzling Gleam will KO. That is about now, so I am going to fire off this Dazzling Gleam. It grabs the shield, and it's actually a pretty uncommon moveset, so I'm surprised that they shielded it, but now I can just shield back, and I'm in a massively good position up against this Altaria. They opt to bring in their Dunsparce. Dunsparce going to be met with the Spinda. Spinda, I think here it's in my best interest to shield early, but I actually don't. I am going to no-shield. The Drill Run does not get us down to 50% HP, and that is massive information to have, as now we know that we can go for an Icy Wind, and the next move is going to be a very easy survive for our good friend Spinda. They're going to go for another Drill Run here, getting it after 3 rollouts, but that's not enough damage to threaten the Spinda, so we're going to overfarm as much as we can and go for a Rock Tomb to guarantee the knockout onto this pretty annoying Pokemon, all things considered. Would have been a little harder to take out if it weren't for our good friend Spinda. They bring back in the Altaria. Altaria has a whole bunch of energy, so I'm looking to deny that with an Aura Sphere bait. I felt as if this was a very safe bait, as they've seen that I have Dazzling Gleam, and it looked as if it was going to be a snipe attempt to get rid of the Altaria. They don't want to see Cradily in the back, whatever they have. GG's to this trainer. In the next game, it's going to be another Shadow Gyarados, but this trainer looking to play it out a little differently, bringing in the Purified Sableye. Pretty bulky Pokemon is the Purified Sableye, but these Sucker Punches from the Spinda adding up quite a bit, and we're in such an amazingly good position because we realistically don't have to shield anything shy of a return. So I thought they could have potentially had a return on the first there. I think my count was off by 1, but nevertheless, all we have to do is no shield the second foul play, go for an Icy Wind, and now there is no way for them to KO us with the energy that they're going to have here. Of course, they're going to live on 1 HP, fire off a move at the Spinda, and now we are going to no-shield the foul play, but that gets the Spinda very, very low. I'm going to fire off this Rock Tomb. Do they know about the Rock Tomb coverage? They do not, and Gyarados takes about 90% of his health. In comes the Diggersby. Diggersby is going to now get aligned onto our Cradily. We bring in the Cradily because, of course, we do have that super effective Grass Knot pressure, and we are down a shield, so it is a pretty opportune moment for us to bait. As well, we did get debuffs, so a high incentive for me to bait here, but my opponent calls that I'm going to full send the Grass Knot. It's a very good play by them. Not the best thing for me, though, so I am going to no-shield the next Scorching Sands, and they get the double attack drop. What is this? That's a 10% chance, by the way. Certainly doesn't feel like it the way this game has been going. they're going to fire off a move with their Gyarados. I know that the Gyarados energy is going to be the most impactful left in this game. They're going to be able to fire off multiple fire punches at my Togekiss, but Togekiss will definitely be able to fire back with an Aura Sphere. Aura Sphere onto the Diggersby, just going to do too much damage. There's too much energy loaded on our side of the field, and our opponent realizes that, and I believe here they are just going to let go of this Aura Sphere, realizing there's energy on the Cradily, there's energy on this Togekiss, I'm not putting up my shield, GG's. Getting into the next game, it is going to be Togekiss leading into yet another Altaria. Man, I really need one of these guys to no-shield my Dazzling Gleam confidently. That would be quite the meme. I'm going to build up a lot of energy with my Togekiss here, and right now we are both well past the point where we have made our first charge move, but I'm going to continue to farm because if I land my Dazzling Gleam, I also want to have energy for whatever it is that they bring in afterward. I pecked this Altaria far enough into Dazzling Gleam range, and they let it go. Down goes the Altaria, nearly one shot, and now I'm just going to bring in my Spinda, as Spinda realistically has a Rock Tomb ready for the Talonflame if they decide to no-shield, and now I'm going to shield up that Flame Charge. I don't know if they are familiar. Realistically, it's a 50-50 call. Rock Tomb is not going to be thrown as I throw the Icy Wind to get a debuff onto the Talonflame. But no matter what they throw here, I'm still going to get KO'd. Not the best for me, but I can just bring in my Cradily, and this energy is, I believe, only +1. So I am very comfortable in going for another Rock Tomb here. And now I force a decision out of this Talonflame. Talonflame opts to shield up, but they will lose CMP to the Togekiss. So Togekiss having all that energy stored earlier in the match definitely pays off. In comes the Cradily, but they realize up against a Togekiss with super effective Aura Spheres, which we will outpace to, and a practically full health Cradily, there was no way for them to win. A Dunsparce lead in the next game is going to force an immediate pivot into my Spinda, and I know that I can live one drill run and a debuff drill run comfortably here, but what I can also do is look to overfarm, and if they decide to stay in with the Dunsparce, then I'll throw a debuffing move, because 2 debuff drill runs not even going to come close to KOing the Spinda, but if they decided to pivot out after banking a bunch of energy, I could have a bunch of energy to potentially double debuff whatever they brought in. So they aren't going to play into that. They are now going to get hit with Icy Wind number 2. No shield by that Dunsparce there. And now they're going to bring in their Cradily, and it is going to be an Aura Sphere in this Cradyly's face, and this is going to be a pretty difficult decision for the opponent to make. They opt to shield up the Cradily. Cradily is going to now fire off a Rock Tomb, and I'm comfortable with just letting my Togekiss go here. I've accomplished what I set out to do here, and they threw a Rock Tomb early. I'm looking to bring back in my Spinda. Spinda looking to make that Icy Wind, and you know what? I am doubling down on the Spinda. I want this Icy Wind real bad, so I am going to overfarm, and now I'm just going to bank the energy for later, then bring in my own Cradily. I don't want to lose the ability to reset debuffs if that is what I need. And in the back, they do have that Altaria. Altaria going to be a little bit of a problematic Pokemon for us in this endgame. However, with the debuff, I don't believe they're going to be able to get rid of this Cradily with just one Sky Attack. And Cradyly's pacing is relative to the Altaria, but we had a slight head start. So we are going to be able to make Rock Tomb number 2. If they just let this go, we're in a really good spot. Do they decide to let it go? They let go of the Altaria to my surprise. I'm spamming my Spinda button. I gotta get in there with my Spinda. Spinda looking to make another Icy Wind here, but I think it's just too much of a tall task to ask of our boy Spinda. They bring back in the Dunsparce. Dunsparce is going to be able to make a last-second drill run here. I had the move, but I needed that energy for the Cradily. I'm going to be able to farm down their Dunsparce, but they're going to bring back in their Cradily, and right when I make my move, or right before I make my move, they're able to make their own, and on 1 HP, I'm going to get Rock Tomb. That's the only move Cradily knows how to throw anyway. It happens. We've now made it to the final game of the video where Togekiss is going to lead into a Steelix. Not necessarily a good lead, and I don't really have much of a response to this Pokemon, so I am just going to immediately switch into my Spinda. Spinda is unfortunately, even if they're slow on the switch, going to be met with an Aura Sphere before they're able to get debuffed by an Icy Wind here. Even with the debuff though, I don't think it's a very comfortable no shield for our hero Spinda here. We're gonna find out though. I'm gonna let this go. It is non-stab, but it is also a Togekiss into a Spinda or a Spear. We survive on 1 HP, and Spinda, my absolute goat. 07s in the chat for Spinda, as we're able to grab a shield out of that matchup, which looked absolutely horrendous. And now what we need to do is make sure that we have energy for that Steelix when it likely returns back in. They go for the Psyshock. The Psyshock does a little bit more damage than I would appreciate given the fact that they are -2, but back in comes that Steelix, and this Aura Sphere is going to hit for big damage. I don't want to stay in and take a bunch of Thunderfang, so I switch into my Cradily, and in the back, they've got a Gyarados. Gyarados is behind on energy and threw their energy on alignment, which means that I'm going to be able to comfortably put up a shield and just go for a Rock Tomb to dispatch this Gyarados. If they decide to no-shield this Gyarados, it'd be a very bold play, but also I'm more than happy with that outcome. They decide to shield it up though, and this Aqua Tail is now going to be a much less impactful than the original Aqua Tail, which was at 100% power. Now we're going to overfarm as much as we can, go for a Rock Tomb. I waited a turn to make sure that they stayed in, but that could have actually played out a little bit to my detriment there. Going for the Rock Tomb number 2. Rock Tomb number 2 going to do some sizable damage onto that Gyarados, dispatching the Gyarados, and now back in comes that Steelix. Steelix is going to have to fire off a move that is more hard-hitting than Crunch in order to get rid of this Togekiss. They simply do not have it, so they go for the Psychic Fangs, hoping they can Thunder Fang down, but Togekiss makes that last-second Aura Sphere. GG's to this trainer. If you made it to this point in the video, thank you so much for watching. Is there better teams that you can run, better Pokemon that you can run? Is this necessarily the team for the little Jungie Cup? Probably not, but hey, listen, I have a level 51 Spinda. Did you think I wasn't gonna run it in the Jungie Cup? Good question, of course I was. Anyway, there's probably better variants of this team you can run without being so heavily ABA to Scizor. Namely, I would replace the Togekiss with an Altaria, and you should be in a pretty decent spot from there. With all that being said, thanks once again so much for watching. I hope you guys all enjoyed today's video. I've been Shmeaty. I hope to see you all again next time, and have a good rest of your day. See ya.